Joining me now, Bull Tick Capital Markets Chief Strategist Kathryn Rooney Vera. Kathryn, does Bostic have a point? I mean, listen, I love when my paycheck inflates. I love when the value of my home inflates. I love when the value of my art inflates. I mean, do we want some inflation?
Sure, and you probably love when we can inflate away our debt, which is growing astronomically. It's indicative of an economic story that's strong and growing, and that's where we're at right now, Charles. What's spooking the market perhaps is the rapidity of the acceleration in inflation, and a lot of that is temporary in nature. The Fed's right on that. You have base effects, which are tremendously low. So when you have very low year-over-year comparison, of course you're going to get numbers that look astronomical. Right. They're likely to fade away by midsummer. But then we have to deal with the structural component of inflation.
Before we get to the structural stuff, just simply on a scale, well, let's say of 1 to 5, with 5 being hyperinflation, where are we now, and then how high will we go, considering structural or transitory? Where do we go from here?
Well, I would say we're at 2. I mean, certainly we're not in an inflation boom. We're probably going to see inflation top 3.5% by the summer before it retraces by year end. But I think the level that we need to, you're looking for a number, right, Charles? And I think that the level that may spook the Fed is core PCE that trends above 3.5%. Remember, they have an average target of 2%. It's not a firm target. It's an average. So above that, I think the Fed is going to hopefully start talking about taper, because really, Charles, why do we need $120 billion in asset purchases right now when we are unequivocally in a V-shaped recovery and, in fact, a boom across the nation?
You know, though, that whenever they talk about this, there's going to be a tapered tantrum. And they are loath to do this. They're loath to because part of what they're trying to achieve is the wealth effect. With the wealth effect, we go out and we buy houses, and we go out and we start businesses. So they don't want to mess the stock market up. That being said, are you in the camp that this summer they start to change the language a little bit to soften us up?
They're unlikely to do so, especially if we have inflation that's decelerating at the end of the summer because base effects are no longer so applicable. So I don't think the Fed is going to do anything with regards to perhaps more responsible monetary policy, which means taking, pulling your foot off the accelerator. We're at full throttle right now, and we're out of the emergency, but we're still doing these emergency measures. I do take one thing different from Bostic, is that the inequality, the exacerbation of the inequality doesn't come from inflation. It comes from propping up these asset prices that a minority of Americans have, making the rich richer and really the poor kind of not even in the equation. So that, I think, is fostering this massive inequality gap that's just going to be aggravated over the course of the next several years.
Wow. All right, Kathryn Rooney Vera, always appreciate these conversations with you. You've been on top of this like no one else.